Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
2 certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only 2 best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Well, hello.
We have been doing some thinking since this whole pandemic got going. I know. Our brains together. It could be a disaster. It could be brilliant. And who knows?
I don't think this is either of those things. I think it's
just trying to be cognizant of the times.
Yeah. So just to cut to the chase, we have been trying to figure out how to serve people in this weird time where there's a lot of uncertainty. And let me be the first to say, I understand that all of your stuff might be coming up right now. Want to know why? Because all my stuff is coming up right now. And when I say stuff, I mean emotional gunk.
Well, when you're triggered by something so big and
out of control
and consuming, it makes sense that you're going to be more sensitive to other things that were already present in your life.
And fewer distractions. Even
for some people, I'm not sure that's universally true. I think some people have a lot more distractions.
I guess, but also you're just in the same place day after day, doing often the same thing day after day. And there's a bit of a routine that you could numb out, but I also think it often shines a light on what's not working because there's nothing else to jump to or nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. And it's bringing up stuff for more people than not. It's bringing up stuff.
Not just the emotional stuff, but some of you are in a very different situation right now than you were a month or 2 ago. You might be furloughed. You might not. You might have been laid off. You might have just started a business.
You might be worried that you're going to be.
You might have a spouse who's struggling with their job. There's a lot that's going on, even just on a day-to-day logistical standpoint, that's creating a lot of uncertainty. And so we wanted to figure out how can we help people who are struggling with so much emotional gunk that's coming up and so much logistical change that just got thrown in their lap completely unexpectedly.
Yeah, and respect the fact that you're also maybe not able to do the extent of what you would want to do. Like there are probably some of you who wanted to do 2 months or 5 months of coaching and are like, this is just not the right time for that. And I wish I could, but I can't. So because of that, we've decided to do some unprecedented things to meet the unprecedented times. So a couple of things. For the next 2 months, I don't really have an end date. I just know it's going to be sometime in June.
We might
depend on how long the quarantine lasts.
Yeah, nobody really knows how long this is going to last.
It's kind of like a quarantine situation. So for the next 2 months or so, we're going to be offering the Passion Profile short course, which is our intro course, for literally half off. Just like
no code or anything.
It's just on our site.
On our site, we are cutting it in half.
So instead of like $250, it's now like $125.
Because honestly, I think that could be a really good use of some of your time right now. I think some of you have a little bit of extra time. You're not commuting. Maybe you're not working at all. And it's only like about 5 or 6 hours of content that you can work through at your own pace from home. And some of you just don't have the money coming in or the certainty of the money coming in. And so we wanted to say, here's a way of supporting your situation right now that's a little more accessible given all of this economic uncertainty.
Yeah, this is a good place to start if you're maybe new to Clarity on Fire and you took the Passion Profile quiz and you really liked your result and you realized there's something off in your career, but you're not sure where to start. This is a great place. And so I encourage you guys who are just spinning your wheels and don't know where to start or what to do, that you could start there.
And by half off, I want you guys to know we're literally charging $125 for this course.
Yeah, it's really
which
cheap.
Is like, we've never offered something that cheap
I've
before,
literally never given, never. Well, but we've never been a global pandemic before, so
here we are.
Thing number 2 is that now this is even more unprecedented. We have done this before.
This is actually years, though.
But it's been years. I mean, it's been like 5 years. So because some of you want to get coaching, but you can't maybe swing for the whole enchilada, we're now going to allow you to do single sessions. So that's just like you sign up for 1 hour with us. You don't get to pick who. We pick who. And that's that. And so we're going to charge even less than we do for former clients. The only people who ever get to do single sessions with us are old clients.
Yeah, we don't offer this for brand new people.
This is not a public thing.
Because we do have a process that we take our clients through, and you can't just do that in one session. So I do want to put out there, hey.
Yeah, big caveat. We're not going to solve all of your problems in an hour.
Yeah, I want to set expectations for what we can do for an hour. But
however, we can do a lot of processing. We can do some planning. We can do some, holy crap, I don't know what to focus on. We can do a lot in an hour. We just can't solve your whole life in an hour.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my clients recently, and she was like, it's almost like more of what you're describing is not a typical coaching session, but a clarity session. Like, let's get clarity around one thing or one big challenge or a big emotion that's coming up. And I was like, I like that. Plus it really plays on our whole name anyway. So yeah, maybe it's more like a clarity session. But that might be exactly what some of you need right now is a little bit of clarity in the midst of a lot of uncertainty and just someone to hear you talk through what's going on and help come at it from a different angle, figure out what we can do and how are you going to process all of this.
Mm-hmm. So we are going to charge less than that than we would for former clients. So understand that this is the lowest I've charged for a single coaching session in a very long time.
Because I don't foresee another pandemic coming in the near future, hopefully.
Yeah. So we're going to do single coaching sessions for $150, which is, again, less than we charge our old clients. And if you are an old client, that applies to you too. If you want to, if you need a session right now, that applies to you too. Pandemic rules apply to everyone because COVID doesn't discriminate. Neither
Equal
do we.
Opportunity.
And thing number 3, if you like the idea of doing both of those, you can do like a package deal.
For even cheaper.
Well, not
combined.
Like
obviously.
You can do both for $50.
That would make 0 sense.
Yeah, well, we would end up making $0 with that kind of great business mind. So no, if you want to do both the Passion Profile short course and a single coaching session, you can do both for $225, which is actually great because, again, short course for $125 right now, passion session for what, $150? Do the math.
You save another $50.
You save another $50.
That was fast math right there.
Great.
Also, please keep in mind, that is less than what the short course costs on its own typically.
Normally. Yeah, so you do the short course and a coaching session for less than you would normally pay for the short course by itself.
Because we realize that you guys might need both now, and you might need it a little cheaper right now, and we're trying to meet you where you're at.
So there are links in episode notes for the short course, which is just, again, you don't need a discount code. It just is cheaper now. And there's also going to be a link to where if you want to do a single session, you can do a single session. And then if you want to do both, just sign up for one of them. And between now and the time that we hit publish on this episode, we're going to figure out how you can actually check out, when you're on the sales page, you can just say, I would like to add this on in my cart. We'll figure that out. We haven't done that before, but we're going to figure it out. So it should be pretty self-explanatory if you want to do both. And if you have issues, just email us, contact@clarityonfire.com if you're having trouble navigating any of that. So yeah, and again, we will remind you of this for a while because this is going to be all of these things, discounted short course, single sessions, the bundle is going to be a quarantine thing.
Yeah,
and so once the quarantine's over,
a little while.
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks probably. I don't know. I don't know how much longer this is going to last.
Our governor's stay-at-home order is already through June 10th, so I feel like we can't do it much sooner than that because we're technically supposed to quarantine until then.
So for next, 6 to 8 weeks for sure, this will be an option. So I really hope that you'll consider that. And if you are maybe a longstanding fan, maybe share this episode with a friend or family member who you think, oh, this is like such a great thing for them to consider right now.
Yeah, you might have worked with us 6 times over already, done all of our courses, but maybe not all your friends have, and maybe they could really use this right now. So we would appreciate that.
Yeah. And I'm also thinking about doing some stuff. And again, because we have time, I might introduce this in a few weeks. I'm thinking of things we can pepper into the short course, updates we can make to it that will make it even more interesting and helpful right now.
Current.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned. But
keep in mind, we also have a bonus in that course about relationships.
And passion profiles.
And I feel like people might need some relationship help right now because we're all cooped up with people.
Yeah, it might be hard to judge someone's work style right now, you know? Yeah, there's so many reasons why this could be a good idea for some of you. So more in the episode notes, and we are excited to talk to some of you if you do a single session. Again, the short course is like a do-it-yourself. So there's a forum. You can ask questions and get we'll respond to you there. But it's really just you do it yourself on your own time at your own pace kind of thing. Okay.
If you were waiting for the meat of the episode, 10 minutes in, here we are.
Well, I'm sorry, but we are in unprecedented times and we have to.
Yeah, we want to explain why we're doing what we're doing. But we are doing a new side chat today. This is one that Rachel and I both have struggled with many times. And
I don't even want to talk about this because I feel like on a meta level, if I talk about this, then I probably do have to do something different.
Well, now you have to explain it because they don't know what you're talking
about. They might because of the episode title, whatever I end up calling it. So I want to talk about, I feel like this comes up a lot. It comes up a lot for me. It comes up a lot for my clients. How do you know the difference between when you're copping out and when it's okay to just let yourself off the hook?
And I'm betting that each of you listening tends toward one extreme or the other. You probably tend to copping out more often.
Even if
for
you don't
any
like
number
to
of
admit
reasons,
it.
which we're going to get into why you might do that. Or someone who is never letting yourself off the hook.
Just constant barrage of criticism and beating yourself up and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So what I kind of want for you to do in this episode is to think of something that I think you must all have something that you can't quite decide. Should I do that? Should I commit to that? Am I copping out if I don't do that? Or should I let myself off the hook because I'm not sure how into that I am and I'm not sure if I really want to do that? You know, like if you need to pause and like ponder for a second, do that. Because I think this episode might be the most helpful if you have that contextually kind of sitting in your head while you're listening.
If you need a little spark of what that might be, look for what you are procrastinating on. That's a really big indicator that you're either copping out or there's something else going on.
Something you're procrastinating around and or maybe something that you keep coming back to like you're beating a dead horse about it and you can't make up your mind about it. Something you feel very indecisive about.
Yep.
Would be another good example. I'm going to have to collate I will do this because we have a side chat about procrastination that we did a long time ago. I'll put that in the show notes. We have some episodes we've done about making decisions here and there.
Yeah, we've got a whole slew of things we could probably send you to next.
I'll always collate episodes, for the most part, that are relevant. So if you want more listening, you can always go to the show notes and see what we came up with. But
okay, so
we use some examples from our own personal experiences.
So whatever example you guys have, I want to give an example of. I'm thinking of one of each for now.
Okay.
I might come up with more, but
great.
An example of when I realized I thought I was copping out, but I wasn't. And then
the reverse.
Sometimes where I'm totally just copping out.
Okay, great. We'll let you go first so I can procrastinate more on mine.
How meta of you.
Yeah, I know. I know what I'm doing.
So I have been feeling for literally years like I should be using a marketing strategy for our business that worked way in the beginning of when we first started Clarity on Fire. And
you're not going to say what it is?
Yeah, I was just about to say
it just sounded weird that you said a marketing strategy.
I was just, that's all that really matters. But the specific is that I used to. Yeah.
Well, but you did it more than me.
I did it more than you. And I felt more of like that was kind of my job in the business was to keep this going. So I had a lot more angst around it. But it was writing articles that we would get published on other platforms, other sites online.
Unfortunately or fortunately, worked very well when we first started doing it.
It worked really well. It was one of our most helpful strategies for building an online following.
Yeah, we would get published on sites that would then sometimes get syndicated. So then we would write an article and then it would get picked up because that site we got published on had a partnership with like a bigger site like Fast Company or Time or Business Insider. And then they would run that article and then a lot more people would see it and come take the quiz and build. That's probably how some of you from like 5 years ago found us, is through getting
I'm sure there's
our
still some of you
efforts.
Yeah, who found our old articles from the Muse or Levo League or any number of places.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of what I did. And I really enjoyed it for a while. It was an outlet for me to share.
Easy.
It was easy. I had so much I wanted to share in those settings. It was just full of people who were already our ideal kind of people to work with.
Yeah.
And it just worked. And
for a while.
Then it started to get harder to get published places, which is, that's not how it should be, because the more publishing credits you have, the easier it should be.
I think something changed in the way that publishing and the internet worked.
I think it got a little saturated, or I don't know what happened. More hoops to jump through.
It doesn't really matter, but the internet ages in dog years. So like a year in the real world is like 5 years in the internet world, I think. And so I think that what worked 5 years ago is like completely irrelevant to what works in 2020. You know?
Right.
And I think something like that there was like a shift and it didn't work anymore the way that it used to.
And for a while, I thought I was just doing it wrong, or I was approaching it with the wrong energy, because I would, every once in a while I'd reach out and I'd pitch a couple of things to a few places and just nothing. Crickets. I'm like, this didn't used to be so hard. I must just be copping out on this. And I'm not really trying that hard. And this has worked before. Why wouldn't it work again? And this is like one of my jobs of how I should be growing our business. And I had all these shoulds.
Right. And
that
it
was
worked
trying to convince me that I was copping out.
And I think that's the thing, is it worked so well before that it felt almost wrong to walk away from it. And
honestly, I think you might have been thinking the same thing. I think you might have been thinking that's kind of a cop-out. And so I really wasn't sure.
I probably was giving you shit about that.
I think we both were like thinking we were calling my bluff or something.
Well, because you've heard on this podcast, you've heard us say a million times, like, life comes with shit sandwiches. Like, nothing you do is going to be without tedium or annoyance or, wanting to pull your hair out sometimes. And I think that you and I were both thinking that, listen, even if it doesn't feel perfect or fun, does that mean you shouldn't do it? Because the reward is, we understand what the value is. Like, we understand how that's worked before. It helps grow our audience. It helps us find people who are interested in working with us. Like, isn't it true that in order to get good results, you have to put in labor sometimes and kind of like suck it up and do things you don't want to do? That's where we were at.
The exact rationale that people give themselves, and they're being hard on themselves and saying, you're just copping out.
I know.
So this is just proof that we're not always perfect at figuring this out in the moment either. This one's taken me years to get clear on.
I still don't know my answer, so.
Years, literally years. I thought I was just copping out, and I kept procrastinating, and I would try a little bit, and it just would not, flat out not work anymore.
Yeah.
And even when occasionally I could get something published, I'd have to jump through so many more hoops. It just was so much harder. I didn't enjoy it at all. I'm like, just suck it up, Kristen. This is what you got to do as a business owner. And I think in about the last,
probably within the last
months
year?
A year, it's become clear to me that this is just something I need to let go. And it's not the only marketing strategy out there. In fact, there might be something else that works better now that I'm curious about, that I could try, that's a new thing for me to learn. And so I'm looking into and starting to dabble in some different marketing courses. And I have energy around that. I want to do that. I'm seeing good results already. I'm hearing good testimonials of other people doing versions of this. And it's okay. Maybe this wasn't just me copping out. This was me recognizing something broke and I need to find a new, better, more current approach to this. And actually, it's feeling a lot better.
Okay. So takeaway is that it's not a cop-out, especially if you find an alternate way to do it that serves you better. It's not like you said, I'm going to stop marketing, period. You said, let's find a way to market that's more aligned.
So that's actually a good question. Can you get to the same basic end goal through a strategy that feels much less resistant?
Yeah. Like, why are you so attached to that way? And it's often going to be because you think you should.
Yeah, you're being hard on yourself.
Because it worked once before, or it's what people do. Well, people don't just do one thing. There are a lot of different strategies in life that work. And so why are you so attached to that approach? Could there be a different approach to this thing? Okay, do you want to go into my thing, or do you want to go into the reverse of your thing?
Go into your cop-out thing.
Do you talk about it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't like it. I hate it. Okay. It's not like you haven't heard me talk about this for the last 2 years off and on. This is not like a surprise. So I cannot, for the life of me, let go of. You're going to hear me talk about this next week in the expert interview, too.
Yeah, you get into this a lot more.
Yeah. Why does the light in this room keep flickering?
The power just went out for a second because there was a storm.
Oh, it might be the wind outside. Okay, that was freaky. The universe doesn't want me to talk about this.
No, you don't want to talk about this.
I don't want to talk about it. Oh, it's so annoying. So I just can't, for the life of me, make up my mind. I make up my mind and then I change my mind. That means I can't make up my mind. Whether or not it's right that I refuse to get on a dating app. I can give you all of my reasons why not, quickly. One is that really, like, knowing me as many of you do, either actually in real life or having listened to me talk for a couple of years, does that really sound like the kind of thing I would enjoy or get anything out of, or that I would be able to approach with an energy of openness and curiosity and chill? Things that I'm not great at in that realm. Like, I can be open and curious about other things. I can be chill about nothing.
I was going to say, I don't know how chill falls into any area.
No, it doesn't matter how many CBD gummies I take. There's no chill to be had up in here.
I am the chill of Clarity on Fire. You are the not chill.
Yeah. You're like the clarity and I'm the fire.
That's actually pretty good.
That's actually pretty true. So it's just basically there's a personality mismatch I feel like is happening. But that sounds like a cop-out because all different kinds of personalities are on dating apps. It's not like it,
you could find success and proof of all personalities being successful.
Sure. I also have the evidence that the idea of it makes me angry and makes me feel like I'm being tortured. So I have a lot of negative resistance around it. Maybe more even than you had around writing articles. I have around the idea of that.
Probably more visceral. Yours is more visceral.
For sure. B, I've done online dating, just not on app form. So like, not normal.
So then your brain says, oh, I did that before. So, and
that was bullshit. So why, you know what I mean? Like, that was so lame. It's just, it's the same thing. It's just going to be lame. And I can't decide if I'm copping out. So again, this is going to be so interesting when you guys hear my episode with Shani Silver next week. Oh, I can't wait. Because, so some of the things that you hear, the shoulds that I hear are, listen, that's how people meet people these days. Like, if you want to meet someone, then, like, isn't that just what people do?
Well, and then on top of that, someone who works from home, who doesn't go into an office, right? It's like that. I'm sure you get some of like, well, but you work from home, so wouldn't it be more helpful to meet someone online because you're already online all day for your business? Yes,
and my defense to that is always, no, I don't leave my house all the time. But I'm not going to the same office every day where I only see the same people. My job requires me to interact with new people all the time. Like, I am constantly meeting new people online through my work. Like, through my work in the coaching world, podcasting. There are people listening to this right now I've never heard hide nor hair of. Like, I don't know that you exist, but you're listening. Great. Love it.
No hide, no hair.
Nor hair. And so, like, it's not like I'm not out there. I have a voice.
I'm just saying, I'm sure that's a thing that you hear that's like within your own head or from someone else.
People would say. It's not something I say so much anymore, but it's something people would say. And so I kind of go back and forth between, why would I do something that just, like, the idea of it makes me miserable and I just feel deflated at the thought of having to do that? And then also, is that a cop-out? Is that just like I don't want to do it and it's uncomfortable, but it's kind of uncomfortable for anybody who would do it? And so why not just, like, experiment and give it a shot or something?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, let it go, because you're never going to have success doing something that you have that much negative energy around.
Mm-hmm.
And you should just, like, live your life, because you'd probably just be happier living your life. When you're happier, you become a magnet for opportunities of all kinds. I'm not sure I would be a magnet to anything if I was there and absolutely hating every second of it, which is what happened when I did it before online, not with apps, and nothing happened. So you see, okay, there you go. That's my dilemma.
Okay, so where have you landed?
I don't know.
Oh, you haven't landed yet. You've landed differently on different days?
Well, okay, I have landed because I've never done it. So that would imply that I default to not doing it. Because it's not like I've done it yet. So I can't really say.
How much of you still fears there's a cop-out?
Depends on my mood that day. Well, that's actually a really good point, though. Is that on days when I'm feeling really good, I don't question my decision very much. But on days when I'm feeling anxious for other reasons, or tired, or cranky, or I've got a lot going on, or overwhelmed, my brain likes to return to that train of thought. That's actually a very good point.
Yeah. That is a good point. I feel like I just coached you into a good realization.
Okay, don't give yourself too much credit for that. But yeah, no, I think that's a great point for people. Is that when the context of when you obsess over something matters.
Yeah. When you are fearing that you're copping out, was that coming from a place of anxiety? Or is that coming from a place of inner truth?
Is it a 24/7 experience? Or is it actually, and you might not realize this until now, you might until asked to pay attention to when is it coming up? Because if it's not a constant thing, if there is context to it, that might tell you something. And I got to tell you, I really tend to fixate on that when I'm already feeling anxious and out of control. Well, and it feels like there's something I need to do to fix. You know what I mean? Like I need to do something. Again, listen to my episode next week because maybe I should go back and listen to that and then I'll re-answer my own question. Because after that conversation with her, I was like, oh, I don't need to do that. That's great. And now I'm back to like, do I need to do that? So yeah, I don't really, I have not yet gotten to the point where I'm like completely at peace with the fact that I haven't done that. I don't want to do that. I don't think it's aligned with me. I don't think people necessarily need to do that to meet people, which is true. I know plenty of people who've never done that and have met people. It's not like it's the only way. And it's not like you can't also say that I haven't been open to other mediums because I did try online dating.
That's true.
And I was open to being set up with people, remember?
Yep.
Not that anything came of that, but I was open to it.
You were.
I mean very grudgingly, and I threw a tantrum for a week, and then I was like, okay, fine.
There was a lot of
but I got there in the end.
Just a lot of flailing of arms and tears.
I don't want to do that. But I got there in the end.
Yes.
So that's another good point. It's kind of related to what you said earlier. So how open are you to, if not that thing, are you open to alternatives?
Right.
Potentially, are you open to alternatives?
What's the end goal of this anyway?
Yeah.
If there's this much resistance, if we change the avenue, you might say, oh, I wasn't copping out. I just didn't like that strategy. I didn't like that approach. I just want to do it in a way that feels better. If that's the case, great.
That's kind of how I feel. It's just with like relationships and dating, it's harder because it's not like with marketing where you can be like, okay, great, I will go take a course. Well, it's like, sure, I will be set up with someone. Well, someone has to like.
It's more about openness. I can't. What, are you open to other avenues?
Yeah. And I was very grudgingly, but like, kind of like a pinprick of light, like a baby trying to be pushed through the, like a teeny little opening.
Yeah.
But like, I was willing. I was a big baby, but I got pushed through that canal. I was actually a very normal sized baby when I was born. Unlike my nephew, who has a huge head.
I was a huge baby.
That's because you were 2 weeks late.
Yeah.
Now you're just a very small person.
Yeah, I started out big and I peaked early. Then I just stopped.
Okay. All right. So again, you can hear that I'm not quite decided, but I hope that hearing my angst helped you work through some of yours about something similar.
Yeah, I guess the point of today is not really for you to come down for sure one side or the other, but just to start questioning.
Right. The difference between copping out and letting yourself off the hook.
Yeah, exactly. And what scenarios might be closer to one extreme or the other. And just start digging into that. Because otherwise you'll just keep doing your same habits unconsciously. So let's just bring a little intentionality into that.
Okay, so I don't know if that's copping out or letting myself off the hook yet. But I do know when I am copping out. Like I can tell you 100% of the time when I am copping out. And that's always when I don't feel like exercising. Always. Because there's no good reason not to exercise. There just isn't. Like, it makes you feel better. And let's just talk about me. It makes me feel better. Probably helps me sleep better. Like, it's just good for you, period. There's no,
I guess the good reason not to do it is because it's uncomfortable when you're doing it.
or maybe
It's
because
not
I
fun.
sprained my ankle doing it a couple weeks ago, and now I can't because I made a dumb...
Inside, though. You weren't even like outside running.
No, I was just in the basement jumping around and sprained my ankle, and that was dumb. But
I shouldn't laugh
I
at
used
you,
to...
but it is
I mean, it was funny. It's fine. You can laugh. So to me, I know when I'm copping out when there's just genuinely no good reason not to do it. The only answer is I don't feel like it. It's not like it doesn't align with my values or it feels so opposite of how I'm wired or my personality. No, that's not true. I can't say that exercise doesn't align with my values or that it's against my basic personality wiring. I just don't freaking feel like it some days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not saying I never cop out and don't do it. I'm just saying I've gotten to the point where I realize I don't have to feel like it in order to do something like that that's good for me. And sometimes I'll kind of cop out in the middle. I'll be like, well, I'll just like cut it short a little bit, you know? I still fall victim to that. But I'm better at doing it even when I don't feel like doing it.
I'm thinking of what we just brought up earlier, which is this might be a good distinction of are you just copying out in general or is it just the wrong strategy? Like there's a lot of ways of working out.
Sure.
So if you find
right.
yourself saying, okay, the end goal of this is just for me to be active and get my heart rate up and feel healthy.
Yeah.
Then if I'm procrastinating on running, maybe I go do
yoga instead.
A yoga class inside right now, of course.
Do your own yoga.
Now, if you just end up saying, no, I don't feel like doing any of that. So you want the end goal, but literally none of the
You're
strategies
not willing to do any work.
are open to you, then you're probably copping out.
Yeah.
That's probably a good sign.
I just had a realization. Okay, this is helping me. This is helping me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because sorry to go back to me. This is my podcast. I do what I want. But no, what you just said about like putting in work, or did I say that?
Are you willing to do any of the strategies?
Well, and then what I was thinking, and I think I just said it, was, yeah, like, are you not willing to put in any work?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, I think with dating, it feels like I'm not putting in any work. And I think the problem with dating is I'm not sure it's the kind of thing. It's not quite like exercise. It's not quite like marketing. Is it a thing you put in work?
But I don't think it needs to be that. I think it's more of what I was saying.
That's how I think of it.
With the, are you open to different strategies or different avenues to the same end goal?
But strategies is a very kind of masculine term.
Well, that's why I changed it to avenues, because I don't actually think strategies is the right word.
It implies you need to be doing something.
Right.
If you listen to my episode, I plugged it like 8 times now. If you listen to my episode with Shani Silver next week, she talks about that, about how we think about dating like something like singledom as something that needs to be fixed. And so you need to be doing something at all times to quote unquote fix it or work toward ending that status. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure it's the same to me as exercise or, marketing. It doesn't feel like something, I'm not sure it's something I need to work on. I think it's more about who you are and what kind of energy you're sending out into the world. And like, that's something I actually do work on. Like I've gone to therapy, I've gotten coaching, like, in a way, I actually have worked on the thing I think that's most important in terms of relationship, which is, are you the kind of person who's qualified to be in a healthy one?
Right, exactly.
Right, because you can be on dating apps all you want and putting in the work. But if you cray and you haven't gone to therapy a day in your life and you keep attracting losers, well, what's the point of being on a dating app, right? What's the point of putting in work if you're not putting in the inner work? So the inner work is something I have tended to be able to put in.
So that can count.
Maybe it's not the only thing that can count, though.
Yeah,
I think I probably default to thinking, I'm doing the inner work, that's enough. Is that a cop-out? You hear the logical loops in my brain.
Yeah, so if you're not open to doing anything for that, or if you're not open to any avenue of that outcome working out for you, then yeah, you're probably shutting down, you're probably copping out, and it's just too uncomfortable.
However,
so I feel like you're more, and this is actually a point we wanted to make, I feel like your cop-out often sounds like, I don't feel like it, or I deserve to not have to do that.
Indulgent type thing.
And the thing that I know I cop out on is, that's really uncomfortable. I don't want to say a hard thing,
Type
or
9.
I don't want to rock the boat. So I know I'm more likely to be copping out when it falls into that arena. And that has a lot to do with my Enneagram type.
Really does.
So that is, let's link to that one too, because people need to be thinking about their default tendencies because you're going to be copping out more often as it relates to your default tendencies.
It really will. How you're wired.
I'm actually less likely to cop out on things like working out and things that are much more kind of solo and not worried about the reaction of others. Not that I don't cop out. Clearly. Not that I don't cop out about exercise sometimes, but like I'm much more likely to just do that.
Yeah.
But speaking up about something uncomfortable,
you and I have the reverse
much more
problems.
likely gonna cop out on that. So keep in mind the things that you know are challenging for you. You are probably going to fall more on the copping out side of that spectrum.
Yep. So that's why, again, it's really helpful to know your Enneagram type because then you can kind of understand, oh, here's my hangups. Here are the things I'm very likely to fall into. And yeah, you'll probably be able to map where you cop out to your Enneagram type.
Yep.
Or at least maybe not where you cop out, but the thinking around why you're copping out, you know?
Yep. Yeah. The thought patterns. Yeah.
Okay. So you need to share. Oh, we got to wrap this up.
That was mine. It was just, I don't have an exact example.
Oh, that was it? You just blew right past it.
Yeah, it was just those types of scenarios. I don't have one in particular in mind.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So when should you let yourself off the hook? I mean, I'm not going to give you I can't give you an answer for
this. There's no formula for this, but when you've been pushing for a particular avenue of something.
And beating yourself up. I mean, and letting yourself off the hook. Here's the thing. Can I pause and say something?
Sure.
Yeah, sure I can. My podcast, once again. I think that no matter what, the first thing to help you discern the difference between whether you're letting yourself off the hook or copping out is stop being so freaking mean to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to make any decisions when you're like giving yourself so much shit for what you're not doing or what you're doing, but you're doing it wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. Like, can you give yourself just a little bit of leeway and be like, okay, fine. It's okay that you feel like this. It's okay that you don't know what to do. It's okay. Like, you're not a bad person. You're not. I think the criticism and the sort of self-flagellation makes it really hard to know what to think about something.
I think a good way of helping you determine that, or actually how to do that, is imagine one of your closest people. Imagine your best friend or your spouse or your sister, and imagine them telling you their reason for why they're doing something or not doing something. And hear them out. If you could hear them saying that in their voice, like, oh, I'm not exercising because it's the quarantine. I don't have a lot of energy and I can't go outside. And if you could hear them say that and be a little skeptical,
like, would you call bullshit?
Yeah. Would you have some tough love and say, well, okay, but is that really it?
Yes. And right.
Like, or if you heard them and you're like, yeah, of course, I get it. It sounds like you don't want to do it that way. Okay. And you would be you're much more likely to be compassionate and understanding of other people in your life, explaining why they're doing something or why they're not doing something. With yourself, you're much more likely to default to, clearly I'm doing it wrong, and clearly I should be doing all these other things, and being hard on yourself. We're meanest to ourselves.
One more example I'm thinking of, then we got to wrap this up. You and I have a deadline.
We do have a hard stop today.
I have like a call in 10 minutes. I got to stop talking. But I think that you and I, where we often see people who need to let themselves off the hook, is like they're trying to make a job work that just is not working for them, right? Like it's not aligned at all. They hate it. They're miserable every day. And they're like, what is wrong with me that I don't like this?
Yeah.
I think that one of the best things you can do is stop being like, what's wrong with me that I don't like this or I don't want to do this? Like, period. And when again, that's kind of what I was saying earlier. When you're willing to stop doing that, when you're willing to stop being like, okay, maybe there's nothing wrong with me, then it becomes a lot easier to be like, do I really want to do this? Or is there a part of me that maybe I'm avoiding something uncomfortable and I need to?
I was just saying, when you're less concerned about, am I broken? And that's why this isn't working. Then you can decide, is this not working because I'm kind of being a people pleaser at work and I'm copping out on setting boundaries? And this job would be very, very different if I could set boundaries of when I work and what I do and what I won't do. Or am I just this is not a fit. This just feels misaligned. And I probably never should have taken this job in the first place. It's so much clearer when you're not worried about, oh, what's wrong with me that this isn't working? You can answer that question better.
I just came up with a very great way to sum up everything we just said. Glennon Doyle always says, we can do hard things. Copping out is being unwilling to do any hard things. Letting yourself off the hook is saying, not this hard thing, but I could do that hard thing instead.
Yep. You don't have to do all the hard things. Don't do that to yourself. I love how you had to
listen to us for 40 minutes to get to the formula and I'm not even saying that's foolproof, but I think that's a very good way to encapsulate it into a nugget. Letting yourself off the hook does not mean that you're never doing hard things. It just means you don't have to do that particular hard thing if it's misaligned with you or if it just sucks. There are things that will be challenging, but that won't like suck your soul.
Yeah.
And straight out of your mouth like a Dementor.
It's okay to do not those things and just the normal hard things that get you to the outcome that you want.
Right. Like we can do like Harry Potter flying past the Norwegian or the Norwegian Ridgeback, right? And getting that egg in the Goblet of Fire. That's challenging. That's hard. That's scary. But he did it. Or you can get kissed by a Dementor. That's not necessary. Don't go to that level. You need that soul. Don't let them take it.
No coming back from that one.
So if you're, however, unwilling to do any hard things, that is a cop-out. And that is a problem. Because the good things in life are often at the other end of you being willing to challenge yourself and do something hard. Doesn't have to be soul-suckingly hard.
It doesn't have to also be all the hard things.
No.
You can pick and choose some of the hard things.
There can be ease somewhere in there. Okay, great. I like that answer.
Yeah, we gave ourselves our own.
Now I have something to mull over for myself. Like, oh yeah, okay. I have been willing to do hard things.
Right. What hard things am I willing to do?
Maybe just not that one. That one is a little bit more Dementor's Kiss for me than it is, like task 1 of the Goblet of Fire. You know? Okay, that's helpful.
Okay,
all right.
So remember, starting today, you have access to half off the Passion Profile short course and the cheapest we've ever done single sessions, which we don't even do them anyway. So lots of new things open today. Everything will be in the episode description. And I don't think you need to tease your Friday episode because...
Well, but that's next Friday. We will be back on Tuesday for another message from the universe.
Yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, we're doing that indefinitely as well. So you'll keep seeing us every Tuesday for a little while.
We're just going to be here a lot.
Well, we're all here a lot together.
All right. See you then.
Bye.